How's it going, everyone? My name is DrapPep. Welcome back to another installment of this series. I have received another question. It was left in a comment from one of my posts. It asks, do you have any friends who are also YouTubers? And I do. I actually have quite a few friends who are YouTubers. I also have some mutuals who became friends from TikTok and a few from Twitter and Blue Sky. Some of those friends are actually like my friends on Facebook, and I feel very well connected with them, like as if we've been like actual friends that I've never met them in person before, but I feel super connected to them. Like those are my actual friends. And it's kind of cool to have friends who make content, because to my friends who don't make content on the internet, they don't really understand the drain of making videos as well as the friends that I have that are on YouTube and other social medias. And a lot of times I will joke with my friends about, that grind, that daily grind and how tiring it is. And they get it. But like to a lot of my friends, they're like, oh, well, aren't you having fun? We are. It's just demanding. And the fact that we don't get paid to do it is stressful. So it's not like we're trying to complain. It's more of like we're kind of venting on one of our favorite hobbies that could have the potential of paying us someday. And I've even done sketches with some of my YouTube friends, sketches and skits. And that was fun because we had to actually use like scripts and obviously acting, and we had to go on location. So we had to like find places to like record these sketches and skits. I have a few on my channel that I've done with them, and it was a lot of fun. Uh, but like one thing I've learned is that when you want to record with your content creator friends, you better make sure that everyone on board is on board, right? You want to make sure that whatever idea, everyone needs to agree on it. Otherwise, they're not going to be so energetic about it. I have a few sketches where we were trying to record a very, uh, you know, demanding video because we were on set and we're losing daylight, and a lot of the people who wanted to participate halfway through the project gave up. They stopped caring, and I just would walk up to them like, congratulations, you're now a background character. You're now someone that gets to be seen in the background of these things. And there there was hurtful words that were said, not necessarily like aggressive towards each other, but just kind of stress, really. And that sucks the fun out of it. When you are trying to make a skit or sketch or whatever, and you could tell someone's having a bad time, or someone is telling you they're having a bad time, it kind of sucks the fun out of the room. Now everyone feels it, and that makes the recordings that much longer. I'm talking what was supposed to be just a fun 2 hour recording. It feels like it's been a 3 year project now all of a sudden. And that kind of puts me off from making videos with other people, because if they're not on board and they're not having fun, the whole room is going to feel it. Everyone's going to feel that, and it's going to suck the fun clean out of it, clean out of the project. I've done videos with other people and even podcasts where I was the problem, where I felt like I lost all momentum for what I was working on. I did a podcast once. I don't want to say names, but I did a podcast with someone, and I don't remember what the podcast was even about. I was like invested for the first 10 minutes of the podcast, and then the next 40 minutes I went quiet. I had nothing to uh insert into the conversation. I had nothing to add, to contribute. And it was very noticeable, to the point where they're like, "Hey, DrapPep, are you okay? You haven't said anything for the last 40 minutes." And I didn't really like being called out like that. So I went with the very honest answer, which I very much should not have done. And I was just like, I lost track of what we were talking about. And they're like, we haven't changed subjects. It's the same subject still. Right. What was the subject? Because they never told me what the theme of the podcast was going to be about. A lot of times when I would invite someone to a podcast, I would be like, okay, here's what we're going to talk about. Here's a list of all the questions that we're going to use. Here's all the topic points. Here's all the bullet points. And that way they can kind of tailor their answers based on what's going to be said. Now, that's the kind of podcast I was usually used to working with, especially in college when we had to do podcasts. I'm not making that up. One of the assignments was we had to do a podcast. And it was fun, but we understood how to set one up properly. So to go to this one, which was outside of the classroom, and to do another podcast for fun, there was no like sheet, right? There was no, here's the topic, here's the questions, here's what's going to happen next. So you pretty much are kind of like in this limbo state of you don't know what's going to be asked next. And the entire podcast was pretty much rabbit trailing everywhere. And a lot of the topics were kind of within their group of like what they understood, all the references that they were into. And so I kind of felt like the third wheel in this podcast. So obviously, yeah, if you're going to start making, inside jokes and like personal stories about people I've never met, of course I'm going to like not participate because I don't know who these people are. I don't understand why that joke was funny. I wasn't there for any of that. And then they had the gall to be like, "Hey, DrapPep, you're not talking the last 40 minutes. Okay. You want to do this? All right." And for like the next 10 minutes, I started dogging on them. Like they were talking about their Yu-Gi-Oh decks, and I just start like derailing the conversation every time. Like, "Oh, Dark Magician deck, huh? Dark Magician deck. Aren't those like really weak against trap decks though?" And they just like, "Oh, you got a Filgrand deck? Oh, that's cute. Yeah. So what's your strategy against, kaiju decks? What's your strat? How do you get around that?" Not really too aggressive about it though, but like just enough to kind of be petty. Just enough. But it showed me that, especially when you want to make content for yourself or with others, you need to make sure that everyone's on board. You need to make sure everyone's agreeing on something, and you need to make sure you come prepared. Don't go to podcasts and expect that they have, everything ready for you. You need to kind of like have your own thing going. And same thing, if you have someone coming to your podcast, be a little organized. Be a little at least have a subject and some kind of guide of where it's going to go. So that way your guests know how to prepare themselves properly. Don't just wing it. If you're going to do that, go solo like I am. Sure, well, at the beginning of these episodes, I have a subject, a topic that I am trying to talk about, and yeah, I rabbit trail a lot, but it's not like I have anyone else around me that needs to know what is going to be said next. Ugh, I'm still upset about that. Can you tell? I'm upset about that podcast episode? Oh my god, I hate that. I do want to bring my friends back into recording with me though, for this series in particular, because I think that would be kind of fun to have my friends play the same video game with me and then have that in the footage and then just mute it and just kind of pretty much what I'm doing right now. But instead of just watching me play by myself, you would be seeing like a bunch of other people playing. And then vice versa, once that's done, you can then go to their channel and hear what was actually said in the video game. They get something from it, I get something from it. And that's kind of a great way to do collaborations. If both of you have the same footage, it's kind of boring. You're just seeing the same content from different perspectives. But if the both of you have separate edits of that, that's great. Now they have incentive to go over to check out their video afterwards. And that's kind of how I try to do things with my YouTube friends. But to answer the question, do I have YouTube friends? Yes. Do I have history with those YouTube friends? Also, yes. Yes, I do. And some of it is good history, some of it's bad. And not bad as in like, oh, I never talked to them ever again. No, just bad as in it got stressful every now and again. We got the project done. But there's a reason why I don't do skits and sketches anymore. It's because of that. It's because it gets stressful after a while. But that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you, everyone, for participating. For tuning in. Thanks for joining and adding to the recordings.